You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Hello.
Hello, once again. This is Jim. Hi, Jim.
Hey, Jason. How you doing?
And that's right. I am Jason. I am great. We have yet another episode of Doctor Who to talk about tonight.
Yes, indeed. This time, the Sixth Doctor.
We are, the Sixth Doctor, Colin Baker. We are going back to the 80s. So they have a very, very 80s episode. We are, of course, talking about, let me see if I can get this to work, Mark of the Rani. Of course, Ronald Reagan was really big. It's the 80s. And so Doctor Who had to get in on that. And here, while I'm showing pictures, why don't we... Interplanet Volume 1, Volume 2 is in production now. And also, Interplanet is available on Fund My Comic, a cool crowdfunding website, and Tales of Conspiracy and Madness on Amazon. All right, so Mark of the Rani.
Yes.
Story by, let me see, how do I get it? There we go. Pip and Jane Baker.
Yes, that's right. A lot of Bakers in England.
Yeah, we had a Baker playing the Doctor in this episode. Pip and Jane Baker did not do a lot. I don't know if they were friends with John Nathan Turner or Eric Sayward or something, but I mean, maybe, I'm kind of betraying it. I don't think they are very good writers. And they wrote something like 4 Doctor Who storylines and not much else.
Okay.
And
yeah, I wasn't familiar with them.
Yeah, I mean, my feeling was, I remember that name, that obviously it's more than one name, but I remember their names in the beginning of some episodes, and I remember not thinking their episodes were that great. And having watched Mark of the Rani now for the first time, in decades, I have to say, I think my initial feeling about their writing ability was pretty accurate.
Okay. Didn't like it?
I didn't think it was great. There were some things that I did appreciate about it more that I think as a teenager I would not have liked at all. But certain campy elements of it, I think I liked more, which they tend to be piled on near the end. All of a sudden, the show gets very silly, and I enjoyed that a lot. that kind of saved it. I mean, large stretches of Mark of the Rani I felt were kind of a slog. And then at the end, like I said, it gets really stupid, but it's enjoyable stupid. So, I wouldn't say I disliked it. And there's good stuff sprinkled throughout.
Yeah, no, I actually, I was a little ambivalent because the Sixth Doctor for me is, how can I put this? People think I don't like the Sixth Doctor. That's not true. I do. I think Colin Baker's a very incredible actor. He has a presence. He's got, greater projection. But I just think his stories were, I really do think that even the most skilled actor or actress, if the script or story is really awful, there's very little they can do. So for me, the Sixth Doctor is very hit or miss. But this one actually did enjoy. I did like this. And there were definitely parts that were very very campy, like the very end where I think the Doctor tampers with the Ronnie's TARDIS, and they're kind of like it's stuck to the wall, almost like that Gravitron ride that you see at the local fair or carnival. And
that's exactly what it looked like to me as well. Yeah.
And she just happens to have like a dinosaur embryo laying around in her TARDIS.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely one of the redeeming elements of the story for me. Just the whole, I mean, that is just so geeky to get to see another TARDIS control room.
Yes.
As a Doctor Who fanatic, I ate that up to be like, oh, what does a different TARDIS look like? And yeah, the Rani's TARDIS did not disappoint.
It was
It's
good. It was
just like
nice.
a sort of a random weird thing. She has dinosaur embryos and beakers. I mean, what could be better than that? I mean, that's pretty freaking awesome. The Rani's not one of my favorite characters, but that is pretty cool. I mean, a villain who's for some reason traveling around with some dinosaur embryos out in the open. I mean, they're not even sealed or anything. They're like,
No, it's like that scene
they're
from
they're not even totally covered by formaldehyde or whatever that is. Embryonic fluid. So that was awesome. I enjoyed the TARDIS set.
it was
The
very nice. Yeah, very
exterior
well
of her
done.
TARDIS was cool too.
Yeah, was it a column or not a column? It was a
No, see, I thought the column in Castrovalva looked kind
that's
of
right.
stupid. The Master's TARDIS. It looked kind of stupid hanging there in space and stuff. As I didn't care for that. This one looked cool. It lit up like it had those lights on the outside that
Yeah.
strobes when
Oh,
it
that's
was
right. Okay.
taking
Yes.
off.
Okay.
It was a cool looking cabinet, and so yeah, that was one of the good parts of the episode. It's too bad you had to wait through a long you had to wait a long time for the dinosaurs and the Rani's TARDIS, but that was definitely one of the stronger parts of the episode.
That was, yeah, and they're stuck together, and it's like, "You've cursed me, woman," or something. He says something like that.
Yes, or yeah, the Doctor slingshots them out into the outer reaches of the galaxy. Also, I mentioned the on our last episode, we were talking about how it was like a real 80s thing for the Master to die and then
Yes,
reappear,
yes.
a couple of seasons later with no explanation. And that was actually mentioned in this episode. I guess, this wasn't too long after Planet of Fire.
Yes, like you burned me alive, and but yeah, he still come. Yeah, and he comes back even after this. He comes back again.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. So,
and
yeah,
the
I
Rani.
mean, yeah, we actually saw him burning up in Planet of Fire. And
Yes,
they do mention it, but no explanation. I mean, I haven't seen Rise of Skywalker, but it's basically a somehow the Master came back moment,
yes.
like
Not sure
Palpatine.
how, but
Yeah.
it'll explain how. He's just back just because. Um, what I thought was interesting about this one was so it was the first, I guess, historical episode since the gunfighters. We see that they land in 18th century England. They don't really say exactly what year, but I'm guessing probably 1804, because that's when Lord Ravensworth employed George Stephenson, the father of British, basically the father of railways.
Okay.
So George Stephenson and Lord Ravensworth actually were historical figures,
Oh,
which
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
did not know. I don't know if you did, but history's not
No.
really my strongest subject. But yeah, so um,
Yeah,
George Stephenson, yeah,
the Industrial Revolution is one of those things I've wanted to learn about for the longest time and just have not gotten around to really looking into it. So, yeah, I was surprised when you said, I would have expected later in the 19th century.
yeah. No, apparently Lord Ravensworth. Um, let's see, in charge of Ravensworth Castle, which also is a real place. He employed George Stephenson around 1804, and he basically encouraged him and financed him to invest, in steam power. And then eventually, George and his son built locomotion number one. That was the first steam locomotive to actually transport passengers.
All right.
So yeah, so definitely two very important historical figures, which I knew nothing about until a few minutes ago. So yes, but now I know.
All right, cool. Yeah, because I was wondering, like, what kind of machinery did this guy make for mining? But maybe his just making the locomotive, the form of
Yeah,
transport. Maybe
and
that's what
also
revolutionized coal mining.
I think they were in Killingsworth, which was a big mining town, and that's
Yes.
where Ravenwood Castle was too. Or sorry, not Ravenwood. Ravensworth Castle. Sorry.
Okay.
So yeah, I think he did invent other things, but his biggest contribution was the first steam-powered locomotive that was, used
Okay.
by
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a cool setting, or at least a cool idea for a setting, but I didn't really feel any kind of a connection with Stevenson or any of those characters there.
Oh yeah, they're just
I assumed it was Wales because I always have Wales in my mind as like the place in the British Isles with all the coal. But yeah, I guess this Killingsworth is actually in England, and
it's very far north. It's very far north. It's like
yeah,
as north as you can get.
yeah, it is close to Scotland, which maybe
Yes.
explains the very strong accents a lot of the characters had. I was watching it thinking, oh, maybe that's a Welsh accent, but when you go north from London, the accents do get stronger and stronger as you get closer to Scotland and Wales.
Oh yes.
The accents get closer to those places as well.
I felt kind of bad because the Doctor, Perry, and mostly everybody else I can understand just fine. But when they got to one of the miners, or I couldn't understand what they were saying. So luckily the YouTube channel has a closed caption. So I click on, I'm like, oh, okay, I see now. But I felt really bad. Like I'm sorry for our viewers in the UK, but yeah, I just had a difficulty understanding the people that we first see. They're talking about getting a Toby,
Yeah.
and that was actually a Toby can mean many things, but basically it's a mug. It's a
Okay.
drinking
So they're
mug.
talking about
Yeah,
getting a pint.
yeah, getting a pint at the pub. Yeah.
All
But when they
right.
said
Yeah.
Toby, I was like, what are they? It's got to be something with beer. And sure
Yeah.
enough, yeah, it's what it was, a drinking mug. So I also learned that too. So another UK, even though it's probably a couple centuries old now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
other
Yeah. That's a
learned.
new one for me. And so the Rani, we have a brand new Doctor Who
Yes,
villain, another renegade Time Lord.
another one. Yes, we've had a bunch. I think wasn't the meddling monk? Wasn't he also a Time Lord? I think,
I think so.
and also the war chief in the war games. But I think
Yes. Yes.
that might be the master, or he might. I think he might die in the end of War Games, and then he became Roger Delgado.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's what happens. But
Yeah. I've heard that theory for sure. I don't know how canon it is.
yeah, I'm not sure myself. Um, Maybe one of our viewers can tell us if it's canon or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Someone knows.
but Rani, I actually like the Rani. So I think Rani is actually a Hindi word meaning queen, I believe.
Yes, I
Um,
just learned that. Yeah, I thought it was just like a science fiction name, but yeah, so it's like the Doctor, the Master, the Queen.
yes,
Why she
and
chose a Hindu word for her, doesn't matter.
I think the last person to play the Rani was a Desi Indian actress, I believe.
Right, they brought
New
the
series,
Ronnie
yeah.
back for the current series, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Um,
that.
let's see. I did find out. Yes, so the Rani has rules her own planet, and I'll do my best to pronounce this. Mycemia Goria.
Right, yeah, her whole origin stuff is really just kind of glossed over. It's mentioned
Yeah,
briefly. She had she created something that ate the Gallifrey president's cat or something like
yes,
that, got banished. It's I don't know, it's a little silly. I'm fine with the idea that she's just kind of a crazy scientist
yeah.
who does stuff like have dinosaurs in her TARDIS, and so maybe she's not evil. She's just a crazy scientist who does stuff like, steal hormones from humans and
Their
whatever.
brain fluid
Not
or
Yeah, not flat out evil like the Master, but someone who is quite destructive. And that's we haven't even mentioned those landmines.
Yes, the trees.
Some
The
of the
trees.
campiest scenes in the history of Doctor Who, and the scene with Colin Baker being carried along on the spit. I forget what you call that thing when you tie someone up by the hands and ankles to a long stick and carry them. But that has got to be one of the campiest scenes in the history of the show. And is quite entertaining.
Very 60s Batman, like a death trap kind
Sure.
of.
Yeah. Yeah. So for an episode that was not very, memorable for me, all this crazy stuff starts happening in the end. That livened it up a bit, made it more enjoyable, in my opinion.
It did help. Yeah, it did help. Yeah, again, like Colin Baker's very hit or miss for me. It's nothing that he did. I think he did the best he could with what he had. But I'm glad he's still around. He's still doing conventions. He's 84, I think. But he's still doing conventions in England. And I think I'm still glad he's still, he's still active, which I'm happy to see.
I recently saw a picture of him, and I, honest to God, I was like scrolling through Facebook, and I saw this picture, and I thought he was Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives guy. I forget his name at the moment, but Colin Baker actually kind of looked like him. He was with Perry.
Oh, okay.
It's a picture of Nicola Bryant and Colin Baker, contemporary picture. I think very recent. And I can't believe I can't remember a Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives guy. But I love that show. I love that guy. And Colin Baker is turning into him now. His hair was kind of short and spiky, and he's never exactly been svelte.
No, not quite. No, but very personable from what I haven't met him myself, but very personable from what I've heard. He was not a fan of wearing that costume.
Yeah,
Just it was almost like something like a prank, but apparently they wanted something that was very tacky and tasteless. So the artist just drew whatever. Like, here, do you want this? Like, not really thinking they'd be serious, but they said, "Oh yeah, we'll have that." And then they had hit a. I can't imagine putting that costume together. It's just like a visual nightmare.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, I recently saw a still from Colin Baker Dalek episode where like the picture had Colin Baker and Davros together, and I'm like, Colin Baker, as much as I love him, just him wearing that outfit, confronting Davros, you're like, this is not the same show as Genesis of the Daleks. It just looks so ridiculous compared to the scenes in Genesis, which was of course such like a gritty, dark storyline. And Colin Baker, of course, was known for having very dark, violent storylines and stuff.
Yes.
The idea of a guy in that outfit meeting Davros is so silly. It's just so.
It's very clownish. It's very clownish. It's hard to take a character seriously dressed like that, and it just he would have preferred, I think, black or maybe blue, but I think that would have worked just fine. But yeah, that's not what we got, and that's what it was, either that or nothing. So he wore that, and I do like the cat pin. The cat pin is a nice touch.
Yeah,
cat pin's a nice touch.
Good.
Let's see, what else? I think I may have mentioned this before, but I think I don't dislike Perry, but I think it would have been better if they just had her speak her own natural accent, because I think because they knew the series was catching on, it was getting more and more popular in the States. They're like, oh, let's have an American companion, but I just think it didn't really sound. It sounded very nasal to me, her American accent. So
I think she's very good when she's bickering with the doctor. I enjoy that quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, people bickering is usually not entertaining, but I thought this episode had some good dialogue. I like them getting on each other's nerves. I think they make a really good team. Like definitely one of the most underrated teams that, you know, in the show's history. But yeah, I do think she struggles more with like dialogue and, you know, that has to do with the action. And I mean, for, you know, yeah, I don't think Pip and Jane Baker wrote award-winning dialogue. You know, Doctor Who in general tends to be, you know, expository, and yeah, that is not her strong suit. But when she's in the TARDIS arguing with the Doctor and stuff, I'm there for it. I like it a lot. I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah, no, they do have good chemistry, the two of them.
Yes, yeah. There you go. That's the word. They have chemistry.
Yeah, they do have chemistry, and I guess she's still finding her character, but yeah, I think maybe just if you should put, I'm not saying for to play herself, maybe kind of put more of herself in the character rather than just trying to do a so it's more, a little more natural, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. I mean, yeah, doing an accent is one of the hardest things.
Like I can't do a really good British accent. I can try, but just comes out really bad. So, but no, her I'd say her American accent's better than my English accent. But
yeah, and I mean, as when I was a teenager, back when these shows were first airing in America, I thought she was just American.
Yeah,
but then it turns out she's American, but she's mostly lived in England, so like English accent is natural for her.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, back then I would not have noticed. Now, older, I will notice some characters' dodgy accents, like Roger Delgado, kind of drifting away from the English accent once in a while, sometimes. But yeah, I think I had. All right, so I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a scene where Perry gets grabbed by a tree. That is one of the best moments in the show. It's definitely, you got to watch it for that.
Yes.
That was great. But one thing I can't. One thing that just kind of makes me sad. This era, I think, kind of has a reputation of like being low effort, maybe like maybe not caring about it as much. I mean, I don't know if that was a result of the, the budget going down. And I mean, there's one shot that is, I mean, unforgivable, I think. You know, part of the plot revolves around the bathhouse.
Yes.
Because the miners, they're going to clean up. And there's a shot where they show a sign that says bathhouse.
Yes.
That's obviously not from the 1800s. the whole episode kind of feels like they shot it in sort of like a historical reenactment museum, and it totally feels like it. It totally feels like something you would have done on a 6th grade field trip. And I cannot believe they left that sign in. It's so obviously a 1980s thing. It's not something they would have had. It's like, why not just have a car drive by and be like, it's like, I think that reinforces the feeling that maybe people were checked out at that time, not caring as much. Because, you would not have gotten that in the Tom Baker era or even the Peter Davison era, I think. And it's kind of sad because I think it just kind of shows the decline of the show.
Even just the smallest detail can make a big difference.
Yeah, that really stuck out like a sore thumb to me, that bathhouse sign. And the scene where Colin Baker is hanging from the chain.
Yes.
And the maniacal miners are, trying to kill him, supposedly. That has got to be one of the most low effort scenes in the history of the show. That was really awful. I mean, one of the miners does try to hit Colin Baker's hand with the shovel.
Yeah.
That was somewhat realistic. But other than that, they're obviously not really doing anything. Just kind of moving around and stuff until someone can come and save the Doctor. And so those little things like that you see, and you're kind of like, I wonder, like, did John Nathan Turner just not care anymore? Or maybe the directors of the show were just like, all right, we got the shot. That's fine. Good enough.
It'll do.
I don't know. Yeah.
Good enough for me. It's like
so little things like that kind of add to, problems with the show that it's just like, yeah, they should have worked a little harder on that.
Yeah, I'm imagining just what if it was like a neon sign, like bathhouse, like flashing.
Yeah.
Bathhouse. Beth is like, wait a minute. It's like,
Yeah, that was so
shouldn't be here.
obviously like a museum sign, not a sign for miners in the 1800s and nowhere to go clean up. It's so silly.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't one of not a classic, but I still liked it. I think it was definitely one of the better of one of the better episodes of the Sixth Doctor. There's not that many. It's a shame that he didn't. He was
Short
sacked
run,
before
yeah.
he could. Yeah, he was sacked, but I think they fired him and they want him to come back for filming a scene for Sylvester McCoy's first episode. And he's like, no.
Yeah.
So yes, I don't blame him. I would have probably said the same thing, but yeah, it just I think I think he didn't really didn't get to end his run the way I think he would have liked it to end, on a high
Oh, of
note rather
course,
than
yeah.
So I'm not sure if he when we see the Seventh Doctor or the Sixth Doctor changing the Seventh Doctor, if he just fell and hit his head and that was it, or if
That
he
it could be. That's kind of it. Ronnie
Yeah.
was involved in that, if I remember
That's
correctly,
right.
right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Sort of a anticlimactic regeneration there.
Just fell on his head.
And there you go. Even with those, those difficult circumstances of not having Colin Baker to film the scene, they could have come up with something better. It just kind of feels like, why doesn't he just fall on the floor and then turns over and he's a new doctor? They could have come up with something better. So you kind of get the feeling, I mean, it's such a huge job that John Nathan Turner had. You can imagine him being totally burned out after the Peter Davison doing, that show for 4 years. They should have handed it off to someone else. Maybe he was just overworked and tired out. But yeah, that could be a subject for another show.
Yeah, definitely.
And
the rigors of making an episode.
The BBC hated Doctor Who so much at that point. They just were dying to kill it off. That would be an interesting topic to discuss too. Who are these people who hated the show so much? I imagine just some hoity-toity, snobbish, public school types who just look down on a show like Doctor Who. I don't know, because now things are so different. But yeah, that might be an interesting show. But thank you, Jim, for joining me for this discussion. Do you have anything to add before we sign off?
I think it's about it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have for now. I just I'd recommend, if you're I think you really should see, if you're a fan, see every episode, but I think this one I recommend it. I think it's definitely one of Colin Baker's better episodes, I thought. And again, I don't think the Six Doctors were remembered as well as, say, John Pertwee or Tom Baker or Patrick Troughton, but I think that he gave it his all, with every episode. I think he does. He's a great performer. He's good at projecting himself. And I think he did what he could, and I think he's got to be commended for that, I think.
Yeah, so, I think Colin Baker was a great doctor. I greatly enjoy his portrayal. I mean, sometimes I hear him deliver some clunky dialogue, and I think he really does it in a way, like, say, I don't think, I love Peter Davison. I don't think Peter Davison could always pull it off. I think Colin Baker has enough gravitas or enough theatricality that he's able to pull off some pretty, corny lines and whatnot. I think he's a great doctor. But yeah, it's sort of a sad story for a million reasons, which we've already discussed. So next time we will, if you want sad stories, next week we'll bring you Sylvester McCoy.
Yes.
Who people have different feelings about his run. I mean, I don't think those episodes will ever be my favorite, but again, he was a good doctor.
Loved Ace. Ace was great.
Yes, let's save it for next week. So goodbye for now. And dear viewers, join us next time for a discussion on some yet to be named Sylvester McCoy episode. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody. Bye for now.